Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really dissecting a complex story from the world of Formula One.
Yeah, it's a big one. We're focusing on the Christian Horner saga.
Exactly. How a leader, the symbol of Red Bull's dominance for 20 years, suddenly faced this huge threat.
And not from a rival team on the track, which is the usual F1 drama.
No, this was different. Secret settlements, internal politics, just massive contradictions.
Definitely. We've got sources that detail what happened when Horner, one of the most powerful figures in F1, faced misconduct allegations.
And the official line seems almost completely at odds with, well, the financial reality we learned about later.
That's the core of it.
So our mission for you, listening, is to try and understand this clash. You have the official verdict, Horner was cleared internally.
Right? Cleared.
But then you have this just staggering fact. A reported £3 million settlement paid out.
Paid to the accuser to ensure her silence after he was cleared.
That timing is everything, isn't it?
It's the central puzzle. If the internal investigation says innocence, why write a check that large for an NDA? One of the biggest we've seen in sports recently.
So we have to ask, what was really going on behind the scenes?
What truth was being protected? What secrets were deemed too dangerous to let out?
That's what we're digging into. Let's unpack this high-octane, off-track drama.
Okay.
So before all this blew up, Horner was, he seemed untouchable.
Absolutely. 2 decades at the helm of Red Bull Racing, the face of the operation.
And you have to remember, he didn't just inherit a winning team, he built it.
Yeah, created those dynasties, first with Vettel, then Verstappen. Ruthless, consistent success, that was his brand.
So his position, his whole identity was tied up with Red Bull's image.
Which is critical. When you're that embedded, you are the brand in many ways. So this wasn't just a HR issue.
It was an existential threat to Red Bull Racing.
Potentially, yeah. The sources say the storm started with allegations about explicit text messages.
Exchanged between Horner and a female employee within the team.
Right. Inside Red Bull's ranks.
Horner denied everything immediately. Standard playbook, perhaps?
True. But Red Bull's parent company response, not standard at all.
They launched 2 internal investigations, not just one.
And brought in a high-profile external lawyer. A big deal, signaled they were taking it seriously, at least internally.
But that detailed internal investigation that matters too, doesn't it?
Hugely, because ultimately the process, even with an external lawyer, was controlled by the corporation footing the bill.
And after weeks, maybe months of this scrutiny,
the findings came out. Red Bull announced the grievances were dismissed. Horner was officially cleared, no wrongdoing found.
So according to the company, according to the investigation they commissioned, case closed.
No grounds for dismissal, no disciplinary action needed. That was the official line.
And yet, that's exactly where the story takes this massive public turn.
Just didn't dissipate, did it?
Not at all. If he was cleared twice by a rigorous investigation, why did the organization then do what they did next?
It's the paradox, isn't it? The contradiction at the heart of the whole thing.
You'd expect innocence to mean closure. End of story.
But this is Formula One. Billions of dollars floating around, reputation as currency, maybe the most valuable currency.
So the internal finding satisfied the corporate structure, maybe the legal team.
But clearly not the need for absolute guaranteed silence in the public sphere.
And that silence, well, reports later revealed it came with an absolutely shocking price tag.
Yeah, the bombshell detail. The woman at the center of it all reportedly paid £3 million.
£3 million to leave Red Bull.
It's a figure you just can't ignore, especially, like we said, after the accused was supposedly cleared.
And the terms attached to that money, they weren't subtle.
No, engineered for maximum control, it seems. She had to walk away. That was the phrase used.
Walk away, abandon her claim.
Yeah.
What does abandon her claim mean practically?
It means she couldn't pursue it further. No court case, no tribunal, legally silenced on that front.
And signed NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, had to remain silent.
Absolutely silent. That was the goal.
That point about abandoning the claim is critical, I think. If you believe you were wronged and you have proof.
Why take a payoff that prevents you from seeking public justice? It's a fair question.
And from Red Bull's side, if you know your guy's innocent, why spend £3 million on an NDA?
It looks less like settling a dispute and more like buying insurance.
An insurance premium against a potential catastrophe.
That's exactly how the sources frame it. There are sort of 2 main theories about the motivation, both rooted in corporate strategy, maybe cynicism, rather than, actual justice.
Okay, what's the first one?
Pure damage control, aggressive reputation management.
Right. Think about Red Bull. Global brand. The F1 team is this huge marketing machine worth billions.
Massive sponsors, Oracle, Honda back then, huge partners, a public legal fight, even if they eventually won.
The mud stakes, doesn't it? The reputational risk alone could be worth far more than £3 million.
Precisely. So paying that sum buys you speed. It buys you finality, stops the bleeding immediately, protects the brand, the sponsorships, keeps the focus on the racing season.
This is just a cold, hard financial calculation.
Yeah.
Annoying for PR, maybe looks bad, but cheaper than the alternative.
Cheaper than months or years of leaks, media frenzy, sponsor jitters.
Yeah.
That's one way to see it.
Okay. What's the second potential motivation? You said it was more political.
Well, yeah, more complex. The idea that this wasn't just about the allegation itself, but it became a pawn, a chess move, in a power struggle within Red Bull.
Ah, right. The internal tensions we hear about.
Yeah.
Austria versus the Thai ownership side. Is that the background?
That's the context often cited, yes.
Yeah.
So the thinking goes, if a key figure like Horner, who's closely linked to the Austrian side and runs the race team, becomes vulnerable.
Then rivals within the bigger Red Bull corporate structure could use the scandal.
Exactly. Use the optics of the scandal, maybe regardless of the truth of the allegations, to push him out. Or to gain more control over the F1 operation themselves.
So the £3 million payment, it wasn't just to silence the accuser.
Under this theory, it was also a way for Horner's allies, perhaps the Thai side even, to neutralize the weapon the scandal had become.
By removing the source of the public drama that was empowering his internal opponents.
Right. It stops being a lever they can pull if the accuser is gone and legally bound to silence.
Wow, okay. That shifts the perspective completely.
It suggests the payment was about protecting strategic positions, maintaining control within F1's corridors of power, as much as it was about the specific allegations.
Image control and executive authority trumping transparency.
That's the implication. And that massive check is the proof that something was seen as a credible threat that needed to be preempted fast, whether that was a legal threat or a corporate coup threat.
It just leaves you stuck between those two truths, doesn't it? The official paper saying cleared, and the bank transfer saying silence cost £3 million.
What really lies beneath that deal? What aren't we being told? The sheer size of the payment screams that the underlying issue, whatever it was potentially damaging.
Yeah. That contrasts clearance versus payout. That's the enduring mystery here.
Absolutely. It defines a whole saga.
Now, despite all this speculation swirling around the settlement, Horner himself, his public stance has been rock solid.
Very consistent. Maintained he was cleared, framed it all as a smear campaign.
Designed to destabilize him and the team while they were dominating on track.
Which, could be a plausible defense in the hyper-competitive world of F1.
If the attempt to buy silence had worked perfectly.
Right. But there's another twist the sources point out. About the accuser herself.
What's that?
After leaving Red Bull with that settlement, she didn't just disappear, she reappeared.
Where?
In the Formula One paddock. Working for another team.
No way, really. Still inside the F1 bubble.
Still inside that small, intense world, working for a rival, no less.
Okay, that is a fascinating wrinkle. The whole point of the £3 million, the NDA, was presumably to make her go away quietly, right? Distance her from F1 completely.
That would seem the logical goal. But she's still there, in the ecosystem.
So does that mean the £3 million gamble didn't fully pay off?
It raises questions, definitely. She's still got access. She's still got her perspective, her knowledge of what happened.
The NDA might stop her talking about her specific claim against Red Bull.
But she's not removed. Not silenced in the sense of being absent. Her presence alone is interesting.
It suggests the attempt to totally sterilize the situation. Well, maybe it didn't quite work.
And regardless of the NDA's effectiveness, the damage to Horner's personal legacy, that seems pretty severe. Maybe permanent.
After 20 years of being Mr. Red Bull Racing, the dominant figure.
Now his name is tied to scandal, secrecy, that huge payout. It overshadows the victories, doesn't it?
It really does. A spectacular fall from grace, even if he kept his job. Defined by internal chaos, not just championships.
But, this being Formula One, the story might not be over.
How so?
Well, even with all this baggage, there are whispers. Sources mention a possible, maybe difficult comeback attempt in 2026.
A comeback, like regaining his former status and influence fully.
Potentially aiming for that. But it would require a huge shift in public perception, wouldn't it? Especially with the £3 million question still hanging there.
The price would be incredibly high. The scrutiny, immense.
For him personally, yes. And for the sport. F1 would have to grapple with one of its biggest figures, keeping his position seemingly through a massive corporate settlement. Not clear vindication.
The optics are just tricky. It forces questions about governance, about relying on internal investigations when followed by such huge payouts.
Yeah, it's messy.
So, to wrap this up, this whole Christian Horner deep dive, it really forces us to look at that uncomfortable space where maybe financial truth trumps legal findings in elite sports.
We're left with that core contradiction, official clearance versus a multi-million-pound move to buy silence.
And the sources leave us wrestling with those key questions. What actually happened in those messages? Why pay £3 million if there was nothing to hide?
And maybe most importantly now, who controls the story? Because the settlement itself has become the story.
It's a pretty stark look at power, money, and accountability at the top. You know that saying in Formula One, speed wins races.
Yeah.
But in the world of power, secrets, and scandal, silence can cost millions.
That sums it up pretty well.
So you, the listener, have to consider, what's the ultimate price of that silence for a global sport? Especially when the cost suggests that protecting the narrative might have been valued more highly than, well, anything else.
It's a calculation that F1 and maybe other sports will be thinking about for a long time.
Definitely something to chew on. That's all for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.